So the first test we're going to be doing is a low light test between the Pocket 6K and the Sony A7 III. And I am using the Sony A7 III right now, or A7S III right now, and I gotta tell you, man, I really am curious just to see how good this low light is supposed to be. I mean, people have been talking crazy about it, so I'm gonna be recording on the Pocket 6K right now, as you can see right there. And then I'm gonna be using the Sony A7S III to just kind of shoot this little location here with some Christmas lights. And at the same time, I'm auto focusing myself just to test out to see how well this autofocus is going. All right, guys, so with that being said, let's go ahead and shoot some low light stuff.
So originally I was going to do the traditional videos, which is showing you guys the Pocket 6K and the Sony A7S III. But I absolutely think I should show you guys this in post-production because you can see more. I don't have to worry about export, compression, and all that stuff. This is screen captured, so you can see a little bit better than what I'm seeing. Now, when I was recording these clips on the site, on the little screens on the A7S III and the Pocket 6K, they looked really good. The Sony A7S III looked amazing, okay? But now I got home and I kind of put it in post, and this is what I'm seeing right now. And this is pretty much as, you know, this is raw stuff, log stuff right now. So if I go right here, you'll see that what we have here is the ISO 3200. So this is an ISO 3200 right here from the Sony A7S III. And I have 8000, which is maximum on the Pocket 6K. I have 8000 right here from the Sony A7S III. And then I did a 12800, and I'm going to explain why in a second. So as you all know, I've been comparing Blackmagic cameras to Sony cameras for a long time. I started with, you know, the A7S II, A7 III, A7R4 with Blackmagic cameras. And one of the things that I'm really critical about with the Sony cameras are just the lack of bit rate. And luckily we have 10-bit now, right? But I'm talking about bit rate. And I don't care so much about resolution, right? I think what you're about to see here as far as result goes is really partially because of the bit rate. So whenever a Sony camera comes out, they say, you know, high ISO, it's amazing, all that stuff. But there's also a flip side. In my opinion, there's always a flip side to that. And again, I'm seeing it with this camera, the Sony A7S III. Let me go ahead and go to the color tab so you can kind of see what I'm doing here. I have no nodes, so let's create one. Alt-S, Alt-S, and there's one there, and there's one there. And I'm going to zoom in here every now and then, okay? Because we're going to take a look at this right here, and I have the waveform up. ISO 3200, which is the native ISO for the Pocket 6K on the high range. That's what I shot in, because this is a low light test. I want you to take a look at the trees right here, or bush, whatever you want to call it. And also want you to take a look at the highlights right here. I mean, I'm zooming in here. That's pretty ridiculous. That's a lot of zoom. And that's why I wanted to do this in post, because I can fly around and stuff. Alright, so this is what you're working with straight out of the camera. And I changed it to Gen 5 because I can do that in post now. And hopefully it will come to the actual cameras later down the road. As you can see, I don't have highlight recovery on or anything like that. So you can see that straight out of the camera. We take a look at the Sony A7S III. And right away, you're going to notice, if you look at this bush, I'm going to go before, after. That right there, I believe, is partially because of the low bit rate. So if you go to Google, the Sony A7S III internally, I'm not talking about externally just yet, okay? We're just talking about how much quality you're going to get out of a 3800 camera internally. All right, 10-bit and up to 600 megabits per second. This is M, capital M, lowercase b, megabits, guys. 600, okay? We look at the Pocket 6K bitrate. I shot this in Q06K. All right? Q06K, they're saying you get 483 megabytes, capital M, capital B, a second. And Blackmagic Raw Q0. If you convert that to megabits, you're actually getting 3,864 megabits compared to the 600 megabits of the Sony A7S III. And honestly, what you're seeing right now, from before to after, that's what that's all about. You can see right here, we're below the 128. There's no detail there. If I go here, you see that there's a little bit more detail there. Or this is log. So this is log. This is supposed to be what the most camera can capture at this point, at this ISO, at this setting. And unfortunately, internally, I mean, look at that. Even the Pocket 6K is not supposed to be like a low light king and stuff like that, which we'll get to in a second. Now, this is 16 bits. This is 10 bits. Okay? So, you're talking RAW and 10-bit H.265, which is better than H.264. I'll give them that. Alright? So, we have a 1,995 camera compared to an almost $4,000 camera. Okay? And this is why every time, majority of YouTubers, whenever they make stuff about Sony cameras, you really won't know how good it is until you actually compare it to another camera. This is a full-frame camera, guys. The Sony A7S III is a full-frame camera. And you can't make the excuse anymore of saying it's just a hybrid. It's meant for pictures with a little bit of video. Because the Sony A7S III has 12 megapixels stills. This camera is more video than stills now. The scale's tipped. So we really can't make that excuse anymore that's saying that this is a stills camera because it has a 12 megapixel camera. This is a video camera now. And the focus point was over here, by the way, by the bridge. So let's take a look. I focused this bridge right here because I wanted it kind of to infinity. Alright? You see these bush? This is the Pocket 6K, and this is the Sony A7S III. Alright, so that's ISO 3200. Now moving up to 8000, this is the maximum ISO you can shoot with the Pocket 6K. So log, I want to take a look at the log. How much did the camera capture? Okay. And let's look at the Sony A7S III again. Right, so you're looking at Sony A7S III and then Pocket 6K. So I'm going to make this bigger so you can see it. So that's your Pocket 6K, and there goes your A7S III. Pocket 6K, A7S III. And you can see too, this up here, there's a lot of mess there. And then the highlights as well. If you look, this is the A7S III right here. Okay. You can see that there's definitely more clarity here. And you can actually see it a lot better now. Because if you look at this bridge, what I focused on, pay attention to this side. Oh, sorry, other way. So, look at that. The detail, man. Yes, it can see more in the dark, because obviously this camera goes up. The ISO goes way up. So if you only care about being able to see in the dark, definitely grab the A7S III. But if you want to, if you're not too crazy about seeing in the dark, but you want more detail, I mean, at ISO 8000, this right here for the Pocket 6K. But that's the maximum, like I said. And now we're gonna go ahead and move on to the 12,800. Now this is probably this is the number one topic YouTubers, a lot of YouTubers are talking about right now. All right, so here's the deal. I don't remember Sony A7S III during announcement. I don't remember them saying, if I miss it, let me know in the comments below. I don't remember them saying that the Sony A7S III has dual native ISO. But a bunch of YouTubers are calling this dual native ISO. Okay? Right now, as it stands, at 12,800, the noise profile resets like it has dual native ISO. What I mean by that is, if I look at this 8000, you see all the noise right here? And again, we're looking at log, what the camera captured. Obviously, when switching over to Rec 709, this thing is probably going to be crushed and you're not going to see majority of it. But with log, check this out. 8000, and we're going to go to 12800. There's your 12800. The noise is gone. Okay? So, 8000, 12,800. Now, the higher ISO you go, the more noise you get, unless you have dual native ISO. So YouTubers, a lot of them are saying this camera has dual native ISO. But if you notice, okay, so again, I'll show you 8000, 12,800. But if you notice, it's actually just noise reduction, okay? Look at this. This is 12.8. This is 8,000, and this is 12.8. Look at this tree right here. Okay? This is 8,000, 12.8. You can see that it's blurring it. It is blurring the image to reset the noise profile. Is that dual native ISO? As far as I know, it's not. Just because you apply, look at this thing right here, okay? Look at this tree. You see how much blurriness is on that tree at 12,800? You're losing so much detail. Okay, so this is again 12,000, and this is again 8,000 ISO. And we move up to 12,800 and it's just blurred. So as far as I know, that is not how dual native ISO works. It looks clean. So I guess that's probably why I didn't want to call it dual native ISO, because they would get called out for that. But yeah, the results, and I'm sorry if I made this video a little bit longer. Let's go ahead and, convert these to like Rec 709 here, so that you just can kind of see whenever it's all crunched up. So I'm going to go ahead and change this to Rec 709. And I'm going to use a CSD here because there's no RAW there. So I'm going to do a CSD just for the sake of comparison. The S-Gamut 3, and I did S-Log 3. And then I'm going to go to Rec 709. And then I'm going to go to, where's Rec 709? All right, so there's your 3200 on the Pocket 6K. And there is your 3200 on the Sony A7S III. And again, because that data is gone here, see that? That's bitrate. And like I said, this is all internal, okay? I'm actually considering this camera with an external recorder, because if ProRes RAW can record 16-bit and ProRes RAW, like RAW for real, and it can shoot this good in low light, then yeah, holy crap. But then again, you have to think about the recorder, $400, $500 plus memory card, which is still not bad. You will probably look at $4,700 for a camera with an external recorder, ProRes RAW, with SD cards or SSD drives, okay? And but I'm looking at internal right now, so I'm gonna go ahead and Alt 1, Alt 2, Alt 1, Alt 2. Okay. So here is your Pocket 6K, and there is your Sony A7S III. It's pretty crazy. Now, without any other cameras to compare this with, if I was just looking at this image right here, and I didn't have like a Pocket 6K per se in the same exact timeline, shot in the same exact time, I would be very impressed with the Sony A7S III. And I think that is probably the reason why a lot of people were praising this camera, is because they didn't have any other camera to compare it with. All right, but that looks great. That looks really good. And like I said, the external ProRes RAW, I believe that if you're serious enough to get the A7S III, that you would get the Ninja V as well. It's gonna be the perfect combo. But yeah, with that being said, I'm going to be shooting a lot more with this camera. This is obviously kind of just like the first round. Yeah, let me know in the comments below what you guys think. And if I missed anything or anything like that. And I'll see you guys in the next one.